and gentlemen, welcome to Ecofeminism. Tonight we have a very important guest. She is a young leader. She is involved in politics in the European Liberal Association, and she is here in Brussels to speak about her engagement and her agenda. Let us welcome Danica Vihinen, Secretary General of LAIMEC. Danica, welcome to Ecofeminism.
Thank you very much, Manal.
You're welcome. So, Danica, let us start a small presentation of your CV and your biography. So, you are Secretary General of LAIMEC since April 2016. Before, you have served 2 years in the LAIMEC Bureau as a treasurer, and you were also the internal auditor of the organization. And before going to Brussels, before relocating to Brussels, you worked in communications department of the Ministry of Foreign Affairs of Finland, and you were also the personal assistant to member of the parliament in Finland, and you were very active in the liberal Swedish party, People's Party in Finland, and its youth organization since 2007. So you have a very huge experience, because I know you're a young person and you're a young leader. So can you a little bit speak about your experience and your background to the auditors and to the TV viewers?
Of course. Well, you already went through most of my CV. So I became active in politics through student politics when I was studying. I ran for the students' parliament at my university in 2007 for the liberal students. And that's how I stumbled upon Swedish Youth, the youth organization of the Swedish People's Party in Finland, which is one of the two ALDE member parties from Finland. And well, I became active, and I sort of never stopped being active. And from the beginning, I was quite involved on in the international committee of the organization, and I've also been a member of the international committee of the party for several years. So there was also always a international and European dimension to my involvement. And well, I was at one point working also for the youth organization, and then I started working for a member of the Finnish Parliament, and I worked as her personal assistant for 3 years. And then I moved on to communications at the Foreign Ministry. And alongside with this, I was also getting more and more involved in LAIMEC from 2012 onwards. So it's been a great experience, and yeah, I'm very grateful for everything I've learned. I would say I learned at least as much from volunteering for youth organizations and working for youth organizations as I learned in my other professional life.
Okay. You spoke about volunteering as a very important means of learning. So how do you speak about your experience in volunteering? How do you represent this experience to young people following you, for instance, and trying to get involved in politics? You know, sometimes young people are really, dissatisfied with what is happening on the political scene, and they are not really involved in politics. So do you encourage young people to get involved in politics?
Absolutely, absolutely. I would very much encourage everyone. And if you don't want to run for local or regional or national office yourself, there's many other ways of being active. You can just join campaigns, for example, and just be sort of a promoter. You don't have to be an elected politician yourself. Yeah. There is behind every elected politician, there is a big group of supportive people. So I would very much encourage all young people to get involved if they're interested in politics.
Sure. So you spoke about campaigns and huge campaigns that can be, a real experience to young people and a real step towards learning how to get involved in politics. So can you speak about the major campaigns that LAIMEC launched since its beginning. So we have witnessed a lot of campaigns, such as TTIP campaign, such as, for instance, gender equality. So a lot of campaigns that LAHcen was launching in parallel with ALDE. So the young people are really involved with international issues.
Yes, I would actually, I mean, LAHcen is a 40-year-old organization.
Yeah, it's a really young
there's been a lot of campaigns through the years, but I would like to highlight, for example, a campaign against visas in Europe that ran quite a few years ago already, and that was really a big pan-European effort from LAHcen side. So that was one of the big campaigns. Obviously, always during elections, we do support our members, both in national elections and European elections.
Sure.
But recently, you mentioned the TTIP campaign that we did last year and the year before. That was basically trying to debunk all the myths around the TTIP, because from no one being interested in trade and free trade agreements and the negotiations
across the Atlantic.
Yes, suddenly there was huge interest, but unfortunately also a lot of myths were going around, and especially the opponents of the agreement were quite vocal with talking about things that had already been either proven wrong by the Commission, for example, or then things that were not really even in the negotiations. So we launched a campaign basically supporting our Liberal Trade Commissioner, Malmström, and just trying to debunk the myths around the TTIP negotiations, and the message was basically get the facts straight and then start talking and debating with actual facts rather than hearsay and rumors.
Okay. You spoke about the campaigns, but you also evoked a very important thing, is that TTIP and CETA were also a very important step towards this free trade, as you said. So what is the idea behind free trade, and how we can, for instance, support this liberal perspective of employment, of creating jobs, of exchanging, and also of creating new opportunities, digital agenda, economy. So everything is included in this liberal change between Canada and the EU, or whatsoever, or the United States and the EU.
Well, basically, I would say that the most important dimension of both free trade agreements that you mentioned, both CETA with Canada and TTIP with the US, is basically the fact that they are, well, TTIP is a little bit on ice right now because of the new leadership in the US.
With the Trump presidency.
Yes, the administration on the other side of the Atlantic hasn't been too positive about it. But CETA, on the other hand, was
really positive.
Yes, it was just voted through in the European Parliament, and now it's up to the national parliaments to also confirm this vote. But basically, the most important thing with both of these, and especially CETA, is that which has the prospect of actually entering into force, is that they're a new kind of agreements. They are quite how should I say it? They are ambitious, and there's a whole new level of cooperation, and also securing requirements for health, environment, and things like this.
Genetically modified,
and also workers' rights. that are important for both the EU and for Canada. And to put it very simply, either the liberal democratic states in the world set the agenda and also set the standards, or then we keep fighting and negotiating and not coming to any solutions regarding this, and basically just step back and watch as less liberal states will set the agenda, since the unfortunately the WTO has not been able to reach any agreements for decades.
Sure. So this is a very positive signal, actually, that is launched by the EU and Canada by having the vote and the start of a new era in EU-Canada relationships. But we witnessed lately a very negative example, which is the Brexit. So how could you speak about this experience as a young liberal, as a young woman who traveled, who worked, I mean, you are the Erasmus generation, so how could you witness this Brexit? So you spoke about the campaign and how you made campaigns in LIMEC, and I think LIMEC was really involved also in encouraging Europe to be united and to make this union very I mean important to especially to young people, and give them hope and future for studying in the UK and vice versa. So how can you I mean express your feelings and your point of view towards the Brexit, and how do you feel as a young person?
Well, as a young person and a young European, I'm obviously very saddened about the outcome. I do believe in democracy, so the people voted and they chose to leave. The British people chose to leave the European Union, and what upsets me a little is that many people voted for Brexit on quite false premises.
Yeah.
They were told that the National Health Service will get a certain amount of money weekly if they will not, if the UK doesn't have to pay into the EU budget anymore, and this has obviously been proven false over and over again. What also saddens me is that if you look at the demographics of people who voted, basically it was young people wanted to stay in the European Union.
More than 75 of young people.
Yes, exactly. As you said, the Erasmus generation. I think our generation and younger generations just, they see the EU as something positive. Really? Even in the UK, where it has always been viewed as an obstacle or something not very positive. Even there, I mean, it really saddens me that at the end of the day, it's the older generations making decisions that us young people have to live with.
Sure. And you are thinking about the new generation of young people right now who are going to be prevented from going to the UK and vice versa to look for jobs and to have, for instance, trainings and studying in the UK universities and learning things and perfectioning their for instance, especially in terms of languages, in terms of political science and all that stuff. So it's really important to have this expertise which exists in the UK, especially in certain universities.
Absolutely, but I also feel very sorry for the youth in UK, who no longer have access to Europe in the same
to
way.
Brussels, especially, and to the Brussels expertise in certain universities here in Belgium.
Yes, and also
and in other universities in the continent, actually.
Yes, and I mean, I think you can look at any EU institution and you will see there's a lot of British professionals.
Sure.
And it's quite disturbing that it's still not clear what will happen to the Brits working in Europe, especially in the EU institutions, and also for the millions of EU citizens from other EU countries working in Great Britain.
Yeah. So this is another story.
Yes.
We wait for the for the new episode of the story after the Brexit. So you spoke about Brexit and CETA and how young people feel. I mean, especially liberals who are committed to open frontiers and to liberal values. But also we had this this influence through the conferences and congresses that LIMEC launched, and we have already knew so many campaigns and conferences and many booklets also and articles which were published thanks to LIMEC. So can you speak about this initiative of LIMEC, how LIMEC is a completely independent organization from the other organizations, and how LIMEC can also have a stand and can express itself as a liberal youth initiative?
Of course. Well, basically, LIMEC's highest decision-making body is our Congress. That's organized twice a year. And our member organizations and individual members have the opportunity to shape our policy through resolutions that they can submit for our congresses, and then they will be debated and amended and voted upon. And if they are passed, they will become part of LIMEC's official policy. And this policy we gather in our policy book, and also whenever we make a statement on current affairs, we always look to our policy book. What is LIMEC's stance? What do our members believe? But also, in order for it not only to stay on like youth level, we obviously try to promote these views and standpoints towards our partners, and especially ALDE party. So we will always submit resolutions to ALDE party Congress as well. Okay. And we have been quite successful in gathering support for our views, and therefore making our standpoints part of ALDE party official policy, and also we're pushing this policy towards the ALDE group in the parliament. So we are really trying to shape the liberal policy throughout Europe, both on European level and also through our member organizations, them pushing the agenda forward towards their mother parties on national level. So so this is how we try to influence, but also besides the congresses, we do seminars and workshops and different trainings for our members. And I'd like to mention the next one. Yeah, sure. So this is why we wanted to move to the next question about refugees. Yes, go ahead. Can you mention the next Congress, which will be in Athens this year? Yeah. Yes. So we are doing a workshop together with the European Liberal Forum, our partner, and this weekend actually in Athens, as you mentioned, and we will gather approximately 25 young liberals from throughout Europe for 2 days of discussing the theme of the Congress or workshop is the new Europeans. So basically we have all been seeing and reading and experiencing the what people call refugee crisis. I don't really like to talk about call it crisis. Talk about it as a crisis. The crisis is in other parts of the world, not in Europe. We are just seeing the result of crisis in Syria, for example, in the shape of lots of refugees and asylum seekers. So the fact is, these people have already come to Europe. They keep coming to Europe, seeking refuge, seeking asylum, and fleeing for their lives, mostly. So they are here, and we think we need to start focusing on the next step. So not only like how shall we solve this crisis, as people call it, but rather, now that the people are here, how do we make them feel welcome? How do we integrate these new Europeans into our societies? And this is what we're going to discuss this weekend in Athens.
Okay.
And the result of the discussions will be put together as a publication that we will. We have asked all participants to prepare a paper on the topic, and we will discuss these papers. We will have some speakers as well, and all the participants will get to discuss, exchange views, and after the event they will be able to finalize their essays or papers, and then we will put it together to a publication that we will launch later this spring. And hopefully this book will then be able to provide some guidance, or at least food for thought for decision makers when they are trying to figure out how to work with welcoming the refugees, and also hopefully we will be able to provide some examples of good practice from throughout Europe.
Okay, so I see that this is a very good example against the rise of populism. So it's an example of a welcoming Europe, a humanitarian Europe, and also a Europe which, which is eager to find solution, as you said. So finding solution instead of saying, okay, there is a refugee crisis, there is a crisis. The crisis is everywhere, but we have seen elsewhere in the world, for instance, refugees were also welcomed in Canada, in the US, in other countries, but Europe also welcomed a lot of refugees, and now she's trying to give solutions to deal with that problem, especially in terms of psychological, educational, and also economic problems. So in this Congress, are you going to, you said you are going to make a debate, but are you going also to have, the point of view of some famous politicians or some famous, organizations that are, used to that problem, actually?
Well, as we are trying to shape policy that we will push towards the politicians, we have not invited any decision makers at this stage, but rather we're trying to talk to people who have expertise in welcoming refugees and asylum seekers. So we will have among our speakers, we have a caseworker from the Greek asylum system, and we also have a person who has set up a welcoming center, a private initiative to welcoming refugees, and we will also make a study visit to this center, and the participants will have the opportunity to discuss and exchange views with young refugees and asylum seekers, so they can actually hear the point of view of the people that are affected by the policies, and not only because I truly believe that we need to have a dialogue with the people involved and not just speak, so to speak, over people's heads.
Yeah. So as you said, there will be a very, a very enriching experience for these young people who are going to participate in that Congress. But also, Athens was chosen on purpose. So it's symbolic to choose Athens because it's, as you said, there is the asylum center which lies in Greece, and people are going to go there and share experiences with asylum seekers and refugees. Okay, so this is part of the experience of LIMEC, but lately with what happened with the presidential elections in the U.S. and women's march in the U.S. And we witnessed a lot of demonstrations in the U.S., in the EU, but also in all over the world. And you were one of the people people participating in these demonstrations. So can you speak about your experience as a young leader and as a young lady who is committed to gender equality in Europe?
Well, I have to say I'm very privileged to be born and raised in Finland.
Yeah,
which
one of the best countries in
exactly,
gender equality. Yeah.
Yes, especially yes,
yeah,
true.
Sure.
One of the best countries to be raised as a girl.
Yeah.
So I just feel that it shouldn't have to be a privilege. Mm-hmm. You should be equal to everyone else wherever you on the planet you're born. Yeah. And it shouldn't have to be like, oh, you won the lottery and you were born in Finland and therefore you get to experience some kind of equality and equal opportunities. Mm-hmm. So I truly believe that we need to work hard to make sure that girls and women, wherever in the world they are born and wherever they live, will have the same opportunities as boys and men. And vice versa.
Sure.
So, so yeah, as you mentioned, I took part in the
mm-hmm.
Lights for Rights.
Lights for Rights.
Demonstration here in Brussels some weeks ago, just before the inauguration of Donald Trump, and it was really an amazing experience. Mm-hmm. People from diverse backgrounds just coming together and standing up for women's rights and and equality. And I think we need to, in a way, realize that we all need to do our share,
sure.
take the share of the burden, and just, it doesn't have to be something very complicated. It's mm-hmm. just like making sure that everyone in your own surroundings have the same opportunities, and mm-hmm. And try to not discriminate against someone because of their gender or other attributes like social background,
religion,
or
social background,
ethnicity, sexuality, gender expression. Mm-hmm. Just like as a liberal, I just truly believe that we should just treat all people equal.
Yes, and as Angela Davis says in the Women's March, no human being is illegal. So
exactly.
I think that this quotation would summarize everything. So it summarizes the gender equality and, as you said, anti-racism, anti-homophobia. So everything is included. We should fight for equality for all and equal opportunities for all. Yes. So your commitment in feminism is very striking. So this is a very good experience for a young girl who came from Finland, one of the best countries mm-hmm. in Europe in gender equality. But you already know that the title of this TV show is Ecofeminism. So it is spoke about, I mean, it evokes feminism and ecology, and you already know that they are interrelated, these two topics. So do you have any experience in relation with the planet in which LAMEC was really involved in defending the environment as well?
Well, we basically try to
mm-hmm.
To look at everything through a perspective of sustainable development.
Yeah.
Because and also we have quite a lot of policy regarding sustainable development, environment protection, mm-hmm. and just like
climate justice.
Yes, climate justice as well,
mm-hmm.
and trying to just keep in mind that there's the dimension of environment as well.
Yeah.
So of course it's sometimes you don't think about the environment when you're talking about
economy,
economy
or
refugee crisis or whatever. But mm-hmm. it's like one of the reasons for many people being seeking refuge is also environmental disaster and and climate change, and that's something we need to keep in mind.
And poverty. And
yes.
Okay, thank you, Danica, for this beautiful conversation. We come to the end of this interview, and I'd like you to end up with a note of you, a quotation, or anything that you want to share with young people watching us right now. So, from your personal perspective, from your experience as a young lady, as a young person, as a liberal advocate, so how can you share your experience? What is the advice that you want to give to young people watching you right now?
I would say help each other and encourage each other. Believe in yourself, but also believe in others. I would not be where I am today if it hadn't been for people believing in me, pushing me forwards, and nominating me for different positions, and I also try to share this in my own life by encouraging my friends and people I meet. I meet wonderful people in our member organizations in LIMEC and our individual members, and I just try to encourage people to get involved and seek new opportunities, and it's an adventure, and it's really worth it. So believe in yourselves and help each other out.
Thank you very much. I really like this ending note. So help each other and encourage each other. Thank you, Danica, for coming to Ecofeminism. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen, for watching us.